COVID-19 infections in the country rises to 233. An allowance of 5,000 rupees for three-wheeler drivers and school van drivers. Tarapuram area in Mana released from isolation. Decision made to transport fruits and vegetables in trains. Worldwide COVID-19 infections rise to 2 million with 126,754 deaths.
A very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. I'm Tharashikumar Singha taking a look at your top story this afternoon. The central bank reports that the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated to 195 and 78 cents against the US dollar. Now the rupee has appreciated by approximately 2.5% when compared to yesterday's 200 rupees and 47 cents. During the year up to 9th April 2020, the Sri Lanka rupee depreciated against the US dollar by approximately 9.1%, mainly due to the adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Anointing of oil for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year commenced at 9:17 this morning.
The anointing of oil was carried out at the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya this morning. The auspicious time to leave for work falls at 7:56 a.m. on Friday the 17th of April. Astrologers state that one must be dressed in light blue when leaving for work after consuming rice mixed with sesame and jaggery.
We are wishing a very happy new year and may all your aspirations be fulfilled. We also pray that this coronavirus is eradicated from the island very soon. The anointing of oil can be called as one of the oldest traditions of the new year.
The auspicious time for the planting of trees will fall at 11:38 a.m. on Sunday, the 19th of April. Astrologers state that one must be dressed in copper shade and face south when planting the tree.
The government has decided to transport vegetables, fruits and other food items via train service after considering the several inconveniences faced by farmers due to the ongoing curfew regulations across the island. Accordingly, Minister of Transport Mahinda Amaravira has instructed the relevant officials to look into this matter and to put in place the necessary provisions to facilitate this decision. In more news, Minister of Transport Mahinda Amaravira said the government has decided to grant an allowance of 5,000 rupees to drivers of three-wheelers and school vans. The decision was taken following the requests made by three-wheeler and school van drivers. In more news from here at home, the total number of COVID-19 cases has increased to 233 in the country, with 15 more people being tested positive yesterday.
On COVID-19, as released by the Ministry of Health, reports that the 15 people who were identified to have contracted COVID-19 yesterday had associated with people who were previously diagnosed with the virus. One confirmed case was identified at the quarantine center in Puttalam. Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinger said 8 of them were identified from the Palali quarantine center, while 4 cases were confirmed from the Mulankovil quarantine centers. Accordingly, 165 patients are currently receiving treatment. 142 cases suspected to have contracted with COVID-19 are currently under medical observation, while 61 cases have recovered thus far. At this backdrop, the health sector reiterates the importance of continuing the measures taken to prevent the disease in the future.
During the past couple of days, we have detected a number of COVID-19 positive cases, but all those cases are linked to a previously diagnosed COVID-19 case. That means they are limited in the family or close associated clusters. As well, that we have not detected any patient who are present in hospitals with COVID-like symptoms and also having COVID-19. This implies that we are at a very good level of control of the COVID-19 in the community transmission. So we achieved this because our team in the periphery, in the field, that the medical officer of health, region epidemiologists and public health inspectors has conducted that immediate contact tracing and isolated all the contacts of confirmed COVID-19 patients, avoiding or preventing any transmission of COVID-19 into the community, as well as the people's contribution by restricting their movements and confining to their homes also help in this situation. So in order to completely control the COVID-19 in our country, people's contribution is further necessary in the coming days, especially in the coming couple of weeks. They should remain in their houses, minimize that their movements outside the houses, and also should maintain the physical distance at least 1 meter among people, and also should practice hand hygiene and also cough ethics. So only by that we will be able to control this disease. We hope that if the people are adhering to this in the coming days, that we will be having a very bright future in the rest of the year.
Meanwhile, 50 people from the health sector have also been sent for quarantine as a result of infections being recorded in several hospitals across the country.
More COVID-19 related news. Tarapuram area in Mana, which placed under isolation due to COVID-19 movement, has been released.
Of the national operation for the prevention of the spread of COVID-19, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva said Akurana, China Fort in Beruala and Pannila villages are still under isolation. Meanwhile, security in the Suduvalla area in Jayala has also been tightened.
A child who had arrived from Beruala, whose parents had contracted the virus, and an individual who had arrived from overseas after participating in a pilgrimage have been directed to the quarantine center in Min area. We believe there will be positive cases among them. In addition, a supervisor and 2 employees at the Katunayaka International Airport were directed to the quarantine center. Among them, 1 was identified to have contracted the virus. 8 more people were identified at the Milladi Quarantine Center operated by the Health Ministry in Jaffna. Previously, we identified another 6 people from the same place. We sent them after identifying that they had associated the pastor. The remaining 4 were identified at the Mullankavil Quarantine Center, who had closely associated the individual who was found in the Suduvalla area.
Let's now take a look at several arrests made by police during curfew were still in effect. NELUWA police in the Gaul district arrested 14 suspects who manufactured illicit alcohol in 6 locations. According to the police, 20 litres of illicit liquor, 18 litres of Goda and equipment were taken into police custody. 3 people were arrested while they were manufacturing illicit alcohol in a forest by the officials of Anti-Corruption Unit at the ANURADHAPURA police. According to the police, 40 litres of illicit liquor, 390 litres of Goda and equipment were taken into the custody during the raid. The suspects are to be produced before the Anuradhapura Magistrate Court. 2 more people who were manufacturing illicit alcohol were arrested in the Dikwalla estate in a raid carried out by the Haliala police. 1 barrel of Goda and many equipment were taken into custody by police. The suspects are currently under police custody. 4 people who were running a betting centre in Rasandeniya Devinuwara were arrested in a raid carried out by the Mathara Anti-Corruption Unit. 2 people have escaped the police during the raid. Police said 560,000 rupees were also taken into police custody. The suspects are to be produced before the Mathara Magistrate Court today. 7 people were arrested for manufacturing illicit liquor in raids carried out in Hanguranketa, Adhikarigama and Ratmatiya. 3 barrels of Goda and many equipment used for the production of alcohol were taken into police custody during the raids. The arrested suspects are currently in police custody. The International Monetary Fund predicts global growth in 2020 to fall to a negative 3%.
So now, under the assumption that the pandemic and required containment peaks in the second quarter in most countries in the world and then recedes in the second half of this year, We are projecting global growth in 2020 to fall to minus 3%. Now, this is a downgrade of 6.3 percentage points from January 2020, a major revision over a very short period of time. This makes the Great Lockdown the worst recession since the Great Depression and far worse than the global financial crises. Assuming the pandemic fades in the second half of 2020 and that policy actions taken around the world are effective in preventing widespread firm bankruptcies, extended job losses, and system-wide financial strains, we project global growth in 2021 to rebound to 5.8%. Now, this recovery in 2021 is only partial, as the level of economic activity is projected to remain below the level we had projected for 2021 before the virus hit. The cumulative loss to global GDP over 2020 and 2021 from the pandemic crisis could be around $9 trillion, greater than the economies of Japan and Germany combined.
Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke about the prevailing situation and the economic crisis in the country in an interview with WION Media Network in India.
Actually, the lockdown has been successful. The government has acted. I must say the health service is doing a wonderful job. So is the military, the police, public and the private sector. People are cooperating. So that part has been successful. But where the government, I think, made a lapse is that they did not get the equipment early in January. We should have got more testing kits, more face masks, more ventilators. We delayed on that. And I hope they are sufficient now, because we have to lift this lockdown partially. And you have to go to testing, keep testing like Germany and South Korea. To keep testing only, there's some way to hold it. Even with testing, South Korea has found cases returning. But there's no way out. Follow Germany. Keep testing, and because we were fully locked down, since we were not ready at that time, we have to lift the lockdown partially and keep bringing the economy back on.
When a question was posed if Sri Lanka should ask China for a loan waiver in light of the prevailing economic situation of the country, the former Prime Minister had this to say.
But our problem is that our bulk of our foreign loans, it's about, I think, about 50% of our debt is really international sovereign bonds. China, India, all come up to about 15 to 20% only. So the issue is the international foreign bonds, and we have to pay another $1 billion in a few months' time. So we take it off our reserves come down. I can't see any new money coming in. Earlier we balanced it out by 2016, 17, and we are on the path to repayment. It's going to be difficult. We will somehow pay this money, I feel, but then our reserves will go down further, and there's no way of meeting that gap. So we are all going to be in trouble by now, if not this year, by next year. But I think the creditor countries, all, China, everyone should basically give some relief to all the other countries. But then in turn, Japan, China, their economy is also affected. So it's a sort of, the effect is going to be felt. So it's a question of who takes the pain. But I think the creditor countries must look favorably at the debtor countries.
According to Sri Lankan Airlines, the temporary suspension of its scheduled passenger flights that is currently in place will be extended till the 30th of April. This is as the travel restrictions imposed by the countries in the global network of Sri Lankan Airlines continue to be in place due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Sri Lankan Airlines cargo services will be, however, continue to operate from its worldwide network, and also special flights and when required. We now take a look at some of the paintings Gammadda received under the initiative Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
2 million people around the world have now been confirmed to have contracted with COVID-19. Total number of fatalities reported worldwide is at 126,754, with 478,931 people recovered.
The Indian government's decision to extend the countrywide lockdown has won support from most of the public. During the past 24 hours, the country has registered 38 deaths, taking the total death toll to 393. 1,076 new infections have been confirmed, bringing the total number of patients to 11,487. France officially registered that more than 15,000 deaths from coronavirus infection, becoming the fourth country to go beyond the threshold after Italy, Spain and the United States, while the rate of increase of fatalities is slightly up again. Dozens of businesses were allowed to resume activity in Italy yesterday, including bookshops, stationeries and shops selling children's clothes, although harsh confinement measures remain in place. Other Italian regions have opted for caution in easing the COVID-19 related restrictions and chose to delay the opening of bookshops. Singapore has seen yet another spike in positive tests. Over the past day, 334 new infections have been confirmed, taking the total beyond 3,000. The city of 5.6 million people also had its 10th death linked to COVID-19. Everyone in Singapore must now wear a mask when they go outside after a sharp jump in coronavirus cases over the past 2 days. Last week, the government brought in its so-called circuit breaker, closing all non-essential businesses and asking people to stay at home except for essential outings.
President Donald Trump said yesterday he has instructed his administration to at least temporarily halt funding to the World Health Organization over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic.
Today I'm instructing my administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. Everybody knows what's going on there. American taxpayers provide between $400 million and $500 million per year to the WHO. In contrast, China contributes roughly $40 million a year, and even less. One of the most dangerous and costly decisions from the WHO was its disastrous decision to oppose travel restrictions from China and other nations. They were very much opposed to what we did. Fortunately, I was not convinced and suspended travel from China, saving untold numbers of lives. Thousands and thousands of people would have.
Responding to Trump's action, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said now is not the time to be cutting funding to the WHO, and the medical community has also criticized the move. Dr. Patrice Harris, president of the American Medical Association, called it, and I quote, a dangerous step in the wrong direction that will not make defeating COVID-19 easier, end quote.
While New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, ministers in her government and public service chief executives will take a 20% pay cut for the next 6 months given the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic. She said the decision was made in light of the economic challenges New Zealanders are expected to face in the coming months due to the impact of COVID-19.
Today, I can confirm that myself, government ministers and public service chief executives will take a 20% pay cut for the next 6 months, as we acknowledge New Zealanders who are reliant on wage subsidies, taking pay cuts and losing their jobs as a result of COVID-19's global pandemic. We feel acutely the struggle that many New Zealanders are facing, and so too do the people that I work with on a daily basis. If there were ever a time to close the gap between groups of people across New Zealand in different positions, it is now. Of course, many people in our public sector are our frontline essential workers, nurses, police, healthcare professionals. We are not suggesting pay cuts here, and nor would New Zealanders find that appropriate. Rather, I am responsible for the executive branch, myself and ministers. This is where we can take action, and that is why we have.
The Gum at the Rise Up Sri Lanka campaign has spread across social media, with Sri Lankans across the country continuing to share their video recordings with a message of hope for a rising nation. We leave you this afternoon with taking a look at some of the latest videos shared today. I'm Tarashikumar Singha. Stay safe, stay at your homes and stay close to News First. Good afternoon.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.